Hello, Leo. I'm sorry it takes so long to get the rest of the videos up. I've had quite a crazy week, couple of weeks. I won't take time to explain, but I'm happy to be here. Thanks for following. Thank you for liking and comments, and I'm really grateful for the new followers. Thank you for joining. Let's talk a little bit about the astrology really quick. We've got the Sun in Cancer. Really the most important thing to talk about is the eclipse coming up. I mean, the last set of reads I did was about the full moon in Capricorn. Now, I think it's so far from there, I think we should go ahead and talk about the eclipse. And it's on the 13th. So we've got the Sun in Cancer, we've got the eclipse coming up in the house in Cancer, and we just had that full moon in Capricorn, which would have revealed things that were needing to be done, more disciplines, or sort of the right path to the right structured path to take. And Cancer is an emotional house, it's a creative house. Many people might have experienced some opening up, creatively, things opening up for them. I certainly know that's happened for me. I'm Cancer ascending. So anyway, let's just get to it. Let's find out what the cards have to say for Leo during this upcoming eclipse. Sun in Cancer, and we just had a full moon in Capricorn. All right, and I just kind of invite all the higher level spirits, the higher in the light spirits, to come down and guide me for clarity and a message for Leo. Let's have a look. Gonna get a clarifier. Oop. All right, I'm gonna leave that there. Let's have a look. All right. Now, I've been painting, so if my fingernails look really dirty, I apologize. I had to get these videos out. I can't keep fussing about everything, so I do apologize. Anyway, let's have a look. Okay. It looks to me like for Leo, I'm trying to remember where this next eclipse is happening and what house for Leo. I think it's the 11th house, but I'm not sure. But anyway, let's not worry about that. The thing about the eclipse seasons is this card shows up a lot during eclipse season reads because that's fate, and eclipses are all about forced fate. And so what usually happens when I give tarot reads is I find my reads kind of help shift people into a more positive frequency or more positive vibration about an experience in order for the fated change to come through, and it kind of helps it happen. It helps if we resonate at that right frequency. I'm watching for a lot of people that I do reads for, things kind of coming through. And that's what it feels like this read is about, because we've got some negative. This card read is talking about negative thinking, shifting into optimistic thinking, into sort of quite the opposite. And this is about Leo, and this is for Leo. So this is going to involve work. I'm going to say this is kind of a work read but we also get a relationship read in here. So we get kind of a situation where Leo are shifting from a more positive mental thinking, or something's going to happen in the life of Leo regarding work that's going to give you a lot of hope. And I think that's very fated. And I mean, this is a very prosperous, abundant card. The other sort of meaning for the Wheel of Fortune, other than that it's your fate, is that this is quite an abundant, financially destined track for you. So it looks like this astrology is going to sort of shift you into your right sort of fated track. That's going to either you're going to shift into a place of a higher frequency because you're going to release some sort of a negative thinking, and you're going to get a clarity about your work. There's sort of a release of some kind of a thought process or some kind of a perception about work that's going to shift into a more that's going to end. That's a sort of a negative. I want to say self-perception because because I get the Ace of Swords in your heart spot. So that to me means that there's a shift in a perception of yourself and your abilities as a worker and who you are. And you know, I always find it confusing when I do tarot reads for astrological signs because I always wonder if it's a love read or if they wants me to talk about finances and like what house are we talking about. But I realize now when you're dealing with tarot, it's going to give you a more sort of totalitarian effect of all the astrology that's affecting, I think, in the house of Leo, which is the 5th house. So it's going to be. So whenever we have a shifting in our perceptions in one area, it has a totalitarian effect in our whole world, and it leads us to our fate. And it's going to involve a shift in a perception around the Leo in their work environment that's going to enable them to have more confidence in their relationships and put them either into union, or if you're already in a relationship, it's going to put you into a more intimate experience. You sort of upgrade your relationship into a more connected intimacy. And so in other words, there's a sort of a self-perception there's a new vision of the self in the heart and an understanding of who you really are. And that kind of is going to open you up to a more hope. So it's almost like it's going to sort of open you up to a financial opportunity, enabling you to sort of progress in work, giving you a certain amount of confidence about who you are, and figuring out your now that you know that you have confidence because you've ended a fear that's enabled something to come through that is fated, that's going to raise your frequency, will give you a knowledge of hope in your work environment that is going to enable you to become more confident and more direct and more, shall we say, I would say go for it kind of ruthlessness. You know, the Page of Swords is someone who just says what they need to say and gets to it and says what needs to be said in order for the results to happen. You know, it's not a touchy-feely conversation. So what I'm saying is, in this read for Leo, is that a newfound confidence is going to enable the Leo to make more direct communications and be more honest and upfront and direct in relationships, bringing relationships to a more harmonious level, because there's a certain amount of negative thinking or clarity about the self that the Leo was holding a negative perception. So there's going to be some form of negative perception of the self in the Leo that is going to die and is going to shift into a more positive. It's going to shift to more knowledge of that being a positive element in you that is going to enable you to be more powerful in your work environment or in your work. And then that enables you to be more direct, giving you a certain amount of confidence in the self, empowering you in your relationships, putting you more into union or more into harmonious union in your relationship. And now we get the Nine of Cups. The Eight of Cups at the end of the read here really represents leaving. I'm going to say that this is sort of a whole area in your life that was troublesome that is going to now no longer be an area of trouble in your life, and you're sort of going to move on now to another level in your life of a different level of problems. But where you go now is to a new level of clarity, because I take this card and then I run back down here. But also this card is headed here, which is towards the fate. But it brings me back down here, telling me that this is a new gained clarity about a self-perception that created problems in your own life. and that you're leaving that. This new self-perception of the self is going to enable you to leave a certain troubled experience that you kind of create for yourself. And then I see the Chariot coming through out of the back, so it's sort of like saying this is going to sort of move you out of a depressive state, because the Four of Cups is someone who sort of tends to look at the negative, so this sort of self-perception was bringing you down, dropping your frequency, sort of preventing you from being able to sort of go forward in your fated, because that's also a fated movement forward, because that's what the Chariot represents to me, a universally supported forward balance of the two energies, forward steady motion towards your fated destiny. Sadness, a layer of source of depression is going to be cleared and restored to hope and shifted into a hope, more positive self-perception. Now, I'm going to pull a romance angel oracle card from Doreen Virtue, because that deck was coming up. I used that deck on the earlier reads, and so I want to be consistent. And I feel like love is in the air in a lot of my other reads. There seems to be a lot of unions going on. Oh my gosh, this came out. I should shuffle in front of the camera. I'll pull another one because I didn't shuffle in front of the camera. Some people really like me to shuffle in front. Okay, so wedding, interesting. Isn't that funny? Interesting. So we get let go of control issues, and then we get wedding, and that is sort of helps me understand a little bit about what this negative self-perception was sort of holding the Leo back. The idea that there was something not good enough about you that was causing you to have some sort of a control issue, which is going to be cleared up, ending in order to elevate your relationship to the next level, which could be commitment, could be wedding. And then we get the Six of Cups, which is a reunion or reconciliation, or just a very pure, true love relationship leading to a marriage. All right, and then I'm going to pull an Angel Answers card, and I'm going to ask this deck what other card or message could come through to help the Leo with clarity on this read, please. And if anything comes forward that will to bring anything forward that will help gain clarity to this read, please. All right. So I'm going to shuffle in the camera. I got to remember to do that. I keep forgetting. So we get listen to your intuition. Interesting. So my feeling is that this Ace of Swords, which is hitting in your heart space, is also intuitive. So I think this information is going to sort of the clarity about a new clarity about who you really are and what you no longer are not, which is something in the lack mentality, because this card represents the killing of negative thinking. So I'm going to say there's going to be some sort of the cards are asking that you guide yourself towards that inner self-discovery of what that is, or what negative self-perceptions you could be holding that are preventing you, that you are going to break through, by the way, during this period, that's going to enable you to progress in your romance and in your work, because the two really resonate. We got two pentacles there. Those two things are going to balance each other out, because whatever emotional lack self-perception we hold will prevent us from our higher resonating frequency relationships that need to come through when we are not in self-lack perception, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much it. Let me think one more thing. Let me check my time. All right. Thank you very much, Leo. I hope this read finds you well. And thank you for watching. Okay. Good luck during eclipse season. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to cut that out. Okay.